Okay, guys, this is me, Robert. I'm doing a little quick tour of the shop here that's out at my house. I have another shop also in the city where we run like the auto press, but this is where when we had a bunch of extra equipment, we brought it here. And I do a lot of stuff, the smaller jobs in the shop here, just because it's convenient. It's on my land, so it's not too far away. But it's just a big mess of stuff, like where stuff gets left over or cluttered stuff that we don't need at the shop, so we just kind of bring it here. Or I've purchased other shops and bought some of their equipment, so we got it overflow and we just bring things here. But I'll do a little quick kind of show of some of the stuff. There's a black light in here, or UV light, just because there's no light in this area here. All these boxes, which is really hard to see, from floor to the ceiling. This room's it's 20 feet long by 10 foot wide. All these boxes have ink in it, where we purchase all these other ink companies out. Some of it is fluorescent ink, as you can see. There's ink inside these boxes. They're all different colors. It's hard to see under the black light. I don't have a light in here, actually. It's just some overflow stuff. Some shielding cases for fluorescent bulbs to make it UV safe room. But that's this room. This is one of the UV lights that Cam and everyone has online, the 50-watt ones. Did some testing with them. Do they work? Yeah, you can use them. My 100-watt one works a little bit better, but you can actually use that 50-watt and expose pretty good for what they are. I'll post a link in the description if you want to buy one. They do work good. The other one works even better. The other one just takes a little bit more setup. Like I said, a bunch of just leftover equipment stuff. Some extra tape that we have here, because we do use tape. We buy it by the case load, or box load. Just some other shirts and all that. Heater to keep the shop warm. Some more ink. That was Pantone ink. More products. Conveyor dryer, 6x6 press, some more stuff. We have a small laser here. This is one when we first started, so it's just left here instead of at the other shop. We do a lot of laser stuff. Some blanks from lasers that when we cut stuff out or we got to make things, you got round blanks, but it was projects that we did. We actually laser out vinyl records also and make them into clocks. This is just a wood piece for a template that we had. But on our lasering, we have contracts to do stuff for places like these are derby covers that we laser etch, laser engrave. We do these, we do chrome ones for companies. Here's a chrome one that got destroyed. This was just a test one, but it's hard to really see. And then what we use for at the shop, they're in here. Most of the time we use like an RTAC tape, application tape for vinyl stickers. And then we literally put that on. We do have some of the PMI tape, the dual side palette tape. I haven't really had too good of luck with it. It's, as you can see, ripped across the seam. This is the first time we used it. It's peeling, lifting. It actually peeled some of the other stuff. Maybe in a different environment it might work better, but here, not the best for what I do. Just a bunch of deer racks where I hunt. Some overflow neon equipment over there. That's a clicker press. It's my flash dryer. This one we took out of the shop just because the unit, to make it rotate, actually just kept blowing breakers and overheating. So we got another one and we just brought it over here. These are some screens, just overflow screens that get, when they're done being used, we just pitch them in a pile here until they get ready to be reclaimed, taken over to the other shop. Just some more chemical stuff, washout gun, some more ink, and then here's some other stuff too, just some test prints that we did. Line it up. Some specialty ink stuff, like for foils and all that stuff. We've got, like, this is all reflective inks. It's a lure, so it doesn't really, can't really see the reflecting here, but it is their reflective inks. Then, like on here, which I don't know if you can see it or not, here's some of the reflective ink. The light's not going to shine it. I'll post some photos in there. But yeah, that's just a quick rundown. Like I said, we've tried different things. We've tried this brand squeegees. We've tried the easy grip ones. We've tried just about everything. Some stuff works, some don't. You'll come to find out in screen printing, try a few different things. What works for you, most people just end up staying with it, and that's honestly the best way to go. If you find something that works for you, it's all right to try new things, but I wouldn't go overboard with trying things. Like a good example, when we do our screens, this one's the side clamps. So literally, like, we'll actually just use wire and wrap it around the post to hold the squeegee. A lot of people use clamps, and we do use them. The problem is like when you have a side clamp, you're limited on where you can actually clamp. So you can use newer things, more expensive things, but find out what works for you. And sometimes it's the cheapest thing, like the wire. I'm out here on a farm anyways, so I've got plenty of electric wire for electric fences. So it literally is dirt cheap to use that. And that's probably the simplest thing to hold one up. Holds them up good. Doesn't go nowhere. You don't have to worry. We do have clamps. They are pitched on the pole there. They do work really well. It's just on certain things they don't fit in the areas, or if you're trying to clamp like in the side there. We've tried different screens also, pre-tension screens, the adjustable screens. Like I said before, some people like them, some don't. It's personal choice on a lot of things. That's like white ink. We've tried a bunch of different white inks. What I have found is something I'm not really big on in the colder temperatures is the Fusion 180, but we do use a lot of Fusion 180 for a lot of the stuff that's poly blends. It does really well. We don't have any problems with it. It can go on pretty much anything. So we do use that on the other stuff. It just depends on what we're doing. Everyone's got their own preference. But like I said, here's just a few different, these are all junk shirts that we end up pitching on the tables so that when we got to line something up. But you can see, like, we use the poly white, or their white on there. We use just a bunch of different things, but use what works for you. Try different things. Like I said, like we even tried like the Ecotech ink. Someone asked about it online the other day, and it actually, we haven't had a problem with it. To me, it's actually fairly creamy once you get it mixed up and moving. But I know someone on one of the forums asked about it, and they said it was too thick. It all just depends. Like I said, this shop right now, for instance, I just probed the pallet. Pallet's at 47. The walls are at 44. and the ceiling is 37. So cooler temperatures, a lot of that stuff is going to be thicker, but usually too, like when doing something simple, we'll turn on the heater and all that, get some heat flowing in here if we need it. Once you get the dryer and all that going, a lot of it tends to run smooth. We usually don't print a lot of stuff here in this cold of temperatures anyways. It's just, like I said, a lot of overflow stuff. Here's where we've like done tests like I showed in the last video of pallets we made. When you need pallets, it's sometimes easier just to make them instead of buying and ordering them. We had one job that we needed, so we made that one. And the other thing what we do too is when we're done with our inks, if it was a Pantone call out, we'll literally put a sticker on it, put the extra quarts up and store them in case we have another use for them. Sometimes you run into colors that really aren't too appealing or that you're ever really going to use again, but save them and store them. You might have a customer that needs a color close to that, so you can get away with using it. Some of them too, like if you look, like we got 307 coated, 308 coated, 306 coated. Some of them are fairly close that you could, if you had to, get away with using it if they don't call out a Pantone match. And like I said, save the ink because there's no need to waste it. When you're done, just scoop it back up, put it in the thing. Like I said, for instance, here was a job where we used some 312 for a customer. We had some of it left over, so it saved us from mixing it. They wanted a color in their photo that was pretty much close to that, and they didn't want a Pantone color, didn't want to pay for that price. So literally we just used what we had laying around the shop here. Like I said, we've got that whole room of the other inks. Ink does last pretty good time on the shelf if you put it in containers and close them. Open containers sometimes can be affected. What you can do also is you can use like reducer to thin ink out, and that will actually help a lot too, like if it is a little bit thicker. I wouldn't go overboard with it though, just for the simple fact that it's going to be too thin. It's going to be, depending what the ink is, it's not going to be as opaque on the shirt. So just be careful with it. Eventually, some ink you are going to have to throw out. The downside about the Fusion 180 is the ink, you can't leave it in the screen. What will happen with the Fusion 180, that ink will harden up and it will like almost set into the screen where you're not going to budge it or get it out. And I don't know if this is some, yeah. And you can see it's literally bonded and tacky. Some of the other inks, like you can leave in there for a few days. It's not going to hurt nothing. Even in this cold temperature, this ink is still moving. So depending what brand of ink it is, the purpose it is. We had some reflective ink, and reflective ink, depending what brand you use, if you add the catalyst to it, like we have some right here that we mixed up that's pretty much junk now. The catalyst, once it's done, it cures, and this ink's no longer good. It was just something we had the bowl, we mixed it up in. When you use stuff like reflective inks and you're adding the catalyst to it, don't mix too much up, because depending on the ink, some of it's pretty expensive. Like I think we paid almost $80 for that reflective ink, which was like the 3M brand ink stuff. And if you're mixed it all up and you didn't need it all, then you're throwing it away, and it can be pretty costly on some jobs. Again, it's just a little quick tour. Sorry to bore you. I just had someone hit me an email asking if they could just see a quick little tour of the shop. So here's a quick tour. If you have any other questions or anything, just let me know. If you have anything you want me to go over, a review, or answer any questions on, I'll gladly do that also. It's Robert. Like, subscribe. Peace out.